All right, hello everyone. When we come to this point of the program, there's almost only one mistake you can make, and that is to speak too long. And there's an easy part and a difficult part. And the easy part is to express gratitude, and there's a lot to express. Heartfelt thanks to all of the delegates, especially those who've come from a distance and some from a very long distance. We've been richly blessed by everyone's participation and the thoughtful and deep preparation and the heartfelt and meaningful presentations and sharing that has taken place has really enriched all of us. And we will work hard to amplify your voices through finding appropriate outlets for the material, and we'll be in touch about that. Heartfelt thanks to everyone who's worked from behind the scenes. There are a lot of people who work really hard and with logistics, with audiovisual, with preparing meals, making sure that the snacks are ready, driving us back and forth, and of course the students. We are so grateful for all of the students and their participation. I'm not going to ask you to applaud for all of us, but I am going to ask you for a special note of appreciation for our wonderful students. That's the easy part. Now the hard part. As we come to the end, there's an obvious question, which is, what can be done? Or to put it more pointedly, what can we do? Or to put it more pointedly, what can I do? Because after all, it's hard not to feel a little bit overwhelmed with the world in which we live today. And as I've been reflecting on that question, I've been having through my mind cycle some of the things that we've heard. And one voice that I'm hearing is Father Carlos Reyes. Father Reyes, what a remarkable address you just gave us. What is our core competency? Epistemology. If we ought to be about anything, it ought to be the truth and the search for truth. But you gave us a very important qualifier that we ought to be doing that in a humble manner and what you called a middle manner. And I'm going to take that home with me and really think about that in a very sustained way, because that ought to be our core competency in a world that is noisy and divided and quite divisive. If we stay focused on our pursuit of truth, if we keep in mind that we as academics and as religious leaders, as people who have had the benefit of education and have the benefit of the time and luxury of reflection and of being able to come and attend a conference and listen and learn from each other, we have an obligation to the truth. And I think that's something I'm going to take home. And another thing I'm going to be thinking a lot about is Khairuddin's answer to the question about whether ASEAN should be intervening to solve the problem of the Rohingya Muslims in Burma. What a terrible crisis that is. And it's been going on for a long time, over a decade. It's a genocide. It is a complex and intractable problem. And it's one that leaves any of us who have thought about it feeling rather helpless. And I thought Khairuddin's answer was really rather profound, because he talked about the limited capacity of ASEAN to do much. And he talked about the complexity of the problem, the issue of statelessness, of the ties to Bangladesh as well as to Burma, to Myanmar, of the Rohingya people. And then he talked about what he could do as a scholar, and he talked about writing books. And when I thought about that, I was thinking about what we can do as a small center at Brigham Young University. We really are small. We're 5 full-time positions, so we're really small. And I was reminded of the words of Edward Everett Hale, and you've heard this. He said, "I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. I will not let what I cannot do interfere with what I can do." And that is a little trite, perhaps. It's easy to think of that as being clever and perhaps superficial, but I think it's actually really true in a very deep way, that when we're faced with a world with as much trouble as our world is faced with, sort of cynicism or hopelessness is a really big temptation. And I think we have to really gather our strength and think in a serious way about what we can do, and to do that something, whatever it is. One of the loved leaders in the Church of Jesus Christ is a former airline pilot, now member of the Quorum of 12 Apostles, named Dieter Uchtdorf. And he tells a very simple story about a congregation in Germany trying to move a grand piano. And they talked and discussed and argued and fussed, and finally an old member of the congregation said, "Let's gather around the piano and lift where we stand." And with that, they were able to move the piano. And in that simple story of lift where you stand, I think a lot can be accomplished. Recently, I was in Geneva having dinner with a good friend, Ambassador Mahamadou Ka from the Gambia. It was early March, not long after the USAID cuts had been announced. That week, about 8,000 people in Geneva had lost their jobs. Geneva is a company town, and the company is the United Nations. And people were afraid, maybe even panic is not too strong a word. Not just the United States, but all of the European countries were cutting aid budgets, redirecting from foreign assistance to military spending. And people were glued to their phones, just wondering what the next headline was going to bring. Virtually no work was getting done. And the Gambia was a country that was really at risk of having so much of what it needed being lost. And I asked Ambassador Ka, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? And in his very wise and measured way, he said, Brett, he said, I think right now, those of us who were able to remain calm and stay focused are going to be able to make a big difference. And his words have echoed in my mind for the past 6 weeks. And we've talked about it in our little group at our center, and I hear those words echoing in my mind nearly every day. I think right now we are in a moment where, for those of us who can remain calm and stay focused, we're going to be in a position to make a big difference in the world. And I think that for us collectively, those of us in this room, our capacity to do good is going to be really significant. Thank you.
When I first arrived here at BYU Hawaii, I started working at the Polynesian Cultural Center, the Gateway Buffet, where we ate yesterday. And I was a server. I was serving people across the world, whether by cleaning their table or attending to their needs. And I feel like I'm grateful for that job, for teaching me hard work. And then after a few semesters, one professor from the political science department asked me if I'm willing to work as a political science peer mentor to serve students across the Asia and the Pacific who are struggling or who doesn't have the confidence to pursue their education here in the United States. And actually, I can relate to them, because I was once a student like them who's afraid or not know what will happen after. Will I survive studying in the United States or not? And I'm grateful for that job because it taught me to understand people. I've heard stories. Most of my friends came from that job. I have friends from Tonga, Fiji, China, Thailand, Myanmar, Malaysia. And they've been my friends during my undergrad here at BYU Hawaii. And then after that one, I was volunteering for the first annual conference here, which is the Asian Perspective on Human Dignity. I was sitting right there as a timekeeper, and I was listening to Ambassador Ismat Jahan, which is one of my greatest support. And I couldn't remember what she said, but I remember what I felt. What I felt is I need to realign my goals. I need to look back, because like what a speaker said yesterday, this is a dangerous world, but it's fixable. And so while I'm listening to her, I was inspired to make an action, realign my goal. I centered my undergrad focusing on international relations, volunteering for some organizations, including the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative. I became a fellow for the J. Reuben Clark Law Society and volunteered myself into different organizations related to religious freedom and human dignity. But my point is, I'm grateful that these people included me. If these people did not include me or volunteer me or included me in this conference, then I could haven't learned the things that I've learned. Could haven't met people that inspired me. I could haven't expanded my knowledge on human dignity and even be inspired to look back in my country and to see whatever I can do. I'm not here today to tell my story or to talk about myself. I'm here today to address the people who are here today. First, the student representatives, if they can stand. I want them to be respected and dignified for the effort and time they've given up. Thank you. For the past few months, we've been preparing for this conference while juggling with finals, graduation, and different school activities happening around. But they've given their time and effort to be here. I want you to know that you've done something great in here. And I encourage you to whatever you've learned, whatever you experienced, whatever you felt in this conference, you continue to move forward to make an inclusive society, whether in our classrooms, with your jobs, or wherever you will be after you graduate. Second, I want to address the delegates who are here today. When you go back to your country, I want you to look back and look at the rising generation, that they're capable enough to be in conversation, that they should be included where there is something that they can do, and that they have the capacity to lead, to serve, and to make peace in the world. Third, to the organizers of this event, to the International Center for Law and Religion Studies, the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative, to our advisors, Professor Kajiyama, Professor Whippy, Professor Shumway, Professor Rand Blimes, and to the amazing Patiala Thompson who've been with us until the work is done. Thank you so much. I want to say that without these organizers, there will be no conference, probably. And I would like also to make a call of action to that one. Even if these people are not here anymore, the organizers, I want you to continue this conference, to continue to influence not only the delegates, but the students who are here at BYU Hawaii. And to end this, I want to leave the message that more than the regulations, laws, policies, initiatives, theories, concepts that were discussed today, I want you to remember what you felt, what we're inspired to do after this conference. Because we believe in you, and once we go back, after we study in this university, we want to go back and we call our place a home and be able to contribute to the work in order for respective countries to progress. Lastly, I want to leave a message that we should not wait for the perfect moment to do something. We just need to start on what we have, whether it's a diploma, whether it's the learning that we have, whether it's experience, and we keep moving forward. Mahalo nui loa, and thank you so much for coming.
Salam sejahtera and aloha. What a privilege it is to be here. I'm just so grateful to be sitting in front of you and sitting among great people, including Valerie, who is just an amazing graduate. Okay, I'll start off with my name. I'm Cynthia Uvang Snelson. I'm from Malaysia. I'm a senior here at BYU Hawaii, and I'm not majoring in political science. I'm actually majoring in TESOL, but I've gotten involved in the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative since 2023, and I'm grateful for Professor Aaron Shumway for giving me the opportunity. And I'm also a member of the executive committee who are assisting in planning and executing this conference. But enough about me. Today I would like to talk about you. So I prepared a script because I do not want to go over time. So to our distinguished delegates and guests, thank you so much for choosing your line of work. We are truly grateful that you're here, and we're truly grateful that you have accepted the invitation to be here. Your courage, your commitment to advancing religious freedom and human dignity across Southeast Asia gives meaning to this conference. Without any of that, we would have no reason to be gathered here. And on behalf of the students who have participated here in this conference, I would like you to know that we are truly grateful for the work that you do, and we really admire and we look up to you. We aspire to follow your footsteps and would love to do the great things that you are doing today, but obviously in our own ways. And to the incredible BYU ICLRS team and the IAC members, thank you so much for making this event possible. You have given us as students an opportunity to lead, serve, and to be part of something greater than ourselves. And the work that you do is truly remarkable, and it does have an impact. As you can see, we have a great graduate. I'm just amazed. And to my BYU Hawaii Ohana, each and every one of you are amazing. And I would like to recognize our executive team, Patiala Thompson Beatty, Jennifer Kajiyama, David Whippy, Rand Blimes, Aaron Shumway, Richie Levati, Sam Rasmussen, Hannah Kola, Joseph Sant, Ayu Ningtias Kartika Sari, Isabel Spencer, Vila Ilolahia, Miley McDonald, and Valerie Agustin. Your tireless effort and your time and compassion and attention to detail has ensured that this conference has run smoothly. And I'm truly grateful to be working along your side and to be learning from you. And we must not forget our student representatives who have dedicated their time and who has given up a lot of effort into helping us here. We are truly grateful, and we're grateful for our media productions team, our catering services, and for everything that they have provided us. In closing, this conference, Pursuing Peaceful and Inclusive Societies in Southeast Asia, has reminded us that pursuit of peace is not a solitary journey. It is a collective effort, and as Destia Nori so wisely said yesterday, she said, relationships are the driving force for a peaceful and sustainable future. We hope that you have felt the spirit of aloha and leave here with a renewed sense of purpose as you go on to your respective roles. And we hope that the conversations that have started here will continue to grow and ripple outwards, bringing hope and healing wherever you go. Let us carry this spirit of unity forward, because as a Malay proverb goes, "Bersatu teguh, bercerai roboh," which translates to, "United we are strong, divided we fall." In a world that is so divided, may we be that light that guide people back to being one. I'm truly grateful to be here, and thank you, terima kasih, and mahalo.
Aloha. I should also say Bula Vinaka, which is my traditional way of saying hello in Fiji. I've been asked by our Religious Freedom and Human Dignity faculty group to give some closing remarks, and bear with me as I go through this. I have a close affinity with Southeast Asia. In our Fijian school system, we are taught that the first Fijians came from Southeast Asia, specifically the Malay Peninsula. I've also been blessed to have a close friends of Sikh, Islamic, and Hindi faiths. This early education and ethnic and religious interactions have shaped who I am today. First off, I would like to start by thanking Director Scharffs, Associate Director Hannah Smith, and their team from the BYU International Center for Law and Religious Studies for supporting conferences like this. I also like to thank our co-hosts in IKIM, the Lemena Institute, and the Religious Freedom Institute. Lastly, echoing the sentiments of my panel, I want to thank the BYUH Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative, especially our student fellows and the volunteers. Mahalo. The mission of the RFHD aims to advance understanding and commitment to religious freedom and human dignity in Oceania and the Asian Rim, consistent with gospel principles for the complete development and flourishing of persons and society. This mission aligns with the visionary statement by our university founder, President David O. McKay, who stated, and I quote, "From this school, I'll tell you, will go men and women whose influence will be felt for the good towards the establishment of peace internationally." Our core values at the RFHD are appreciation, tolerance, and esteem, where appreciation involves valuing each individual's contribution to our communities as they live and worship according to the dictates of their conscience. Tolerance allows and accepts differences. Esteem recognizes the innate dignity of all human beings and their potential to become excellent and worthy. This conference has exemplified these values and has been a buffet of cultural and religious wealth. And I'm not only talking about the food that's been served during the conference. We have shared, listened, and learned about peace from various perspectives, but at the core, I think, with some similar values. The recognition of our collective humanity and emphasizing relationships that cater to this. That human dignity and religious freedom are non-negotiable. The understanding that peace is also the presence of justice, assurance of dignity, and the promise of quality in all spaces, including government bodies, NGOs, and businesses. An important space is education that aligns with religious values and truthful worldviews, and that is inclusive of all faiths and beliefs to be seen, heard, and valued. If I can be forward, I follow Director Scharff's lead and invite you to think about the next steps. What do we do with these pearls of wisdom that we have gained over the conference? As you think about this, let me share a quick story. I teach an Introduction to Peace Building course on campus here. One of the books that we read in the course shares the story of Ibrahim, a teacher who comes from a community that has seen decades of peace work. Ibrahim holds a pessimistic but honest viewpoint on peace. He says, and I quote, "Peace, peace, peace. This word, we do not like this word. Everyone comes talking about peace. You know the problem with this word?" he asks. "Everyone talks peace. No one does peace. We are tired of hearing this word," end quote. My question is, what is next? If I can be as forward and answer that, to do peace and to continue to do peace, to write more books, to advocate in your spaces of influence, to champion human dignity and religious freedom, to make necessary changes in policies in your organizations and companies. In some instances, these actions may be seen as small, but are still necessary. And I think it's captured by a sacred scripture from my Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints faith, which reads, "By small and simple things are great things brought to pass." I finished that same intro class with a challenge to students, that after they have learned all that they have learned in the class, that there should come a sense to build peace. I invite them to follow their sense. This sense is an innate moral call to build peace in their own capacity and context, whether in personal relationships, in their communities, or in larger spaces. In much the same way, at the conclusion of this conference, I invite you to follow your sense. I believe that we all have the capacity to contribute to peace in many different spaces, and that for a just and lasting peace, the way forward has to include religious freedom and human dignity. I close with the Maori proverb shared by Professor Shamwe, shared in his opening remarks. He a te mea o te eo. What is the most important thing in the world? He tangata, he tangata, he tangata, which translates to it is people, it is people, it is people. That people's human dignity, again, is not negotiable. That people have the right to practice their religion, and that bridges of understanding are easier to build than constructing and maintaining walls of division. Your presence at this conference signifies your investment in building bridges of understanding in the pursuit of peaceful and inclusive societies in Southeast Asia and around the world. Mahalo nui loa, vinaka vakalevu.